Hi, my name is Carol Klowansky, and I live in Columbia, Maryland. I've been on a lifelong journey that was really guided by the need to lose weight, come from a long family history of cardiac issues, diabetes, was not fat as a little kid, but my parents were hypersensitive and a lot of things went on that were probably not the healthiest for me. At my absolute highest point, I weighed 350 pounds. I went up and down, up and down, up and down, tried all kinds of things. And back in December of 2012, watching a PBS special, I saw Dr. Joel Fuhrman, and it resonated with me because it was science-based, it was fact-based. And I started following, started reading, and I will admit it took me a good 5 to 6 years until I really decided that for me, I had to be 100%, you know, doing 80 or 90%, leaving that other, it just wasn't going to work for me. I am now 220 pounds lighter than I was then. I always thought that I was fat but healthy. I had mild hypertension. My cholesterol was okay, not on medication. I did take a low dose of medication for hypertension. I've been off of all medication since 2017. I still follow the nutritarian approach to eating. So I eat my greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds every day. I am plant exclusive. I don't eat any animal products. They're not a part of my life. I've been a green person for a very, very long time. So I've always been concerned about the climate. I've always loved animals, but it took me a long time to connect that animals are sentient beings and I can't do anything to harm them. So I am also an ethical vegan at this point. I eat an enormous salad every single day. Dr. Ferman says it should be bigger than your head, and mine definitely is. I blend a lot of other pieces into what I do. I learned about eating veggies for breakfast from Chef AJ, and I eat veggies for breakfast. I eat very large quantities of veggies, very large quantities of salad. My salad is enormous. I was at a potluck once and somebody came over. I had brought my own salad with me. And the person said to me, "Oh, is that for the table?" And one of my friends laughed and said, "No, that's her salad alone." I also live with intermittent fasting. So I eat within a time-restricted window. My first meal is anywhere between 9:30 and 10:30. My second meal is somewhere between 2:30 and 3:30. I like to finish eating by 5:30 at the latest so that when I go to bed around 10 o'clock, my body has had time to digest. I feel great. You know, there are things that my body experienced before getting super healthy. So there are issues that I have that are just, that's the way they are because they're not things that will change. But on a day-to-day basis, I love living this way. I can't imagine living any other way. I try to share it with people and tell them about healthy nutrition, what's good, what isn't, why it isn't, and why I do what I do. I follow the Food Revolution Network. There are just so many resources. And I became familiar with Plant Powered Metro New York at the beginning of the pandemic with cooking webinars from Chef Carol. And I continue to follow them. So I'm a supporter of PPMNY. I just can't imagine living any other way. And I'm very happy with my food. It does take a lot of time. It's very labor intense. I spend a lot of time buying produce, cleaning it, washing it, drying it, putting it away. I participate in 2 CSAs, community supported agriculture. One of them I'm actually able to do year round. The other one, because it's a local farm, I only do for 6 months of the year. And I love being healthier. And that's my story.
Many voices, one mission, health for all. Plant-Powered Metro New York's 3rd annual Plant-a-thon celebration is here. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much, Carol, for that amazing testimonial. My name is Jim Spellos, welcoming you to this very special Plant-a-thon edition of Heart to Healthy Heart. My co-hosts, Judith Zerden and Ben Martins, will be joining me very shortly. Now, through a series of 10 live events, which include 8 online and 2 in-person in Manhattan, Plantathon celebrates the diverse and growing plant-powered health movement in our Metro New York communities and across the country and globe. Together, we can bring about a healthier and more sustainable future just by eating wholesome plant foods. Now, for those who may not know us, Plant-Powered Metro empowers people to find better health and overcome chronic disease through whole food, plant-based nutrition, one of the most powerful ways to eat that prevents, treats, and can even reverse a wide array of health concerns and conditions. And you'll hear more about that tonight. Please do share about yourself in the comments so we can learn who's here and where you're joining us from. So as we approach Giving Tuesday, the Black Friday for nonprofits, Plant-Powered Metro has made a commitment to give back to you while asking for your financial support for our mission. We invite you to donate by texting PPMNY, that's 77669, to the number 44321, or by donating online at the link on your screen, and which will be shared in the comments throughout this episode. Every donation you make today and through the end of December will be matched dollar for dollar up to $100,000, thanks to generous anonymous donors who believe in our work. And before we welcome today's guest, which we are so excited about, we want to be able to offer a hearty thank you to our sponsors for the Plantathon. We have, first of all, Le Botaniste, Dr. Herbivore, California Balsamic, Plant Strong, Vitamix, Forks Over Knives, Burlap and Barrel. And understand that at the end of the program tonight, we will be announcing today's winner of the Plant Strong Deluxe Bundle of food, video resources, and live coaching. For more information on how to win this prize and others, you can see our official rules that'll be linked in the comments as we start this episode. Please, please, please share questions in the chat for Dr. Ferman, and we'll get to as many as we can as time allows. And now I'm just so delighted to introduce the person who is our special guest for the evening. Dr. Joel Furhman MD is a board-certified family physician, 7-time New York Times bestselling author, and internationally recognized expert on nutrition and natural healing. He specializes in preventing and reversing disease through nutritional methods. He's the president of the Nutritional Research Foundation and on the faculty of Northern Arizona University Health Sciences Division. He coined the term nutritarian to describe a nutrient-dense eating style designed to prevent cancer, slow aging, and extend lifespan. And for over 30 years, he has shown that it's possible to achieve sustainable weight loss, like Carol mentioned about, and reverse heart disease, diabetes, and many other illnesses using smart nutrition. Dr. Ferman, it is an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm going to start with the first question, then leave it off to Ben and Judy to get into the nitty-gritty. I'd like to know what motivated you to center your practice around nutrition and lifestyle medicine?
I went to medical school with a specific intent to be a physician specializing in nutritional medicine. So I was excited about it as a teenager and young adult because I saw people could get rid of asthma, have their rheumatoid arthritis go away, to have their psoriasis disappear. Instead of being on drugs that can cause cancer, the diseases would melt away with superior nutrition. And I saw that from being part of the American Natural Hygiene. The founder of that, of course, Herbert Shelton. I read most of his books when I was a teenager and a kid. My father was very sick. So my exposure to that early life's experience with people recovering from nutrition sparked my interest. So I went to medical school to take it to a new level of scientific, proven results with developing protocols that people could replicate to recover from serious illnesses. And now we can see that a person with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, can become non-diabetic in 6 weeks. 75% of them become non-diabetic in 6 weeks when they follow this protocol. 75% of people on blood pressure medications don't need them anymore within 6 weeks. That's 75%, but 90% come off the medications within 6 months. That means no more diabetes within 6 months. Some people are more overweight. They have more advanced stages. They take longer than 6 weeks to get well. But the vast majority, 9 out of 10, get completely well. Their cholesterol drops, their blood pressure drops as their weight drops. And as they eat so healthy and fuel the body with high nutrient foods, the starving or injured beta cells in the pancreas that produce insulin start to regrow from their hibernation. They start to build back life and develop more normal secretions. I've seen people with dysfunctional hearts, low ejection fractions, cardiomyopathies, and post-heart attack, almost near congestive heart failure or in congestive heart failure, be able to build back hibernating myocardium, restore circulation to their heart, and get rid of their poor ejection fraction, build back a normal ejection fraction, reverse chest pain, and make full recoveries, getting off of medications, even 10 or 15 medications at a time. People have been able to recover. So my enthusiasm sparked from my experience when I was young in life and having a career where I'm enabling to work with sick people and help them get well without having to be sick the rest of their lives, but actually having people recover their health has been tremendously rewarding and satisfying to see people make those recoveries. So I'm very blessed to have this opportunity to work with individuals and teach them, coach them, and help them on their journey to getting well again. So I'm saying that I became a physician because I knew that this type of work would be so rewarding and so powerful, yet not available to most people because their doctors don't know about it.
What's a nutritarian diet, Dr. Fuhrman, and what distinguishes it from a typical whole food plant-based diet?
You could say the word nutritarian means very healthy or super healthy diet. It's just designing a diet to be maximally lifespan promoting. And I always say a nutritarian is a person that's eating very healthfully at their ideal weight. And a person who's at their ideal weight should be a BMI below 22 for a male and below 21 for a female. Or a person eating very healthfully and they're overweight, but they're losing weight by at least 1 kilogram or 2 pounds per week. If they're not steadily losing weight and they're overweight, then they're not following a nutritarian diet. So we eat a diet designed where we can get enough volume of nutrients and enough volume of fiber and healthy food that we're satisfied with the right amount of calories that brings us to our ideal weight. It's when you eat processed foods, oils, and animal products, you're eating too many foods with no significant micronutrient load. Because both animal products and bagels and bread and croissants and donuts and cookies and rice cakes and breakfast bars and chips, these foods have no significant amount of these vitamins and minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants that we need for superior immune function to prevent cancer. So we have to obviously eat a tremendous amount of produce to meet those needs of the immune system to protect against later life diseases like cancer and dementia. But I'm saying that when you idealize a diet to maximize human longevity, it also becomes therapeutically effective to reverse disease. And we modulate, of course, the type of food and the amount of food. Whole food plant-based could be you're still eating a diet that's not ideal. And you could be eating mostly, foods like, a rice-based diet, like a macrobiotic diet, or a fruit-based diet, like a fruitarian diet, or a potato-based diet, where you're not eating enough of the foods that have the documented efficacy to extend lifespan and protect the brain and protect the immune system. And so we're talking about here highlighting, which I think Carol mentioned, these 6 foods that I'm encouraging people to eat every day that have the most scientific documentation to slow aging and prevent cancer, to include them in their dietary portfolio. Not to be 100% of just these foods, but those 6 foods represented by the GBOMS acronym stand for greens, beans, onions, mushrooms, berries, and seeds. So the nutritarian diet includes those foods like flax seeds and chia seeds, like a lot of different types of mushrooms in your dishes, to use onions, scallions, leeks, and shallots for their anti-cancer effects, to eat both raw vegetables and cooked vegetables, to use raw cruciferous vegetables like bok choy or arugula in your lettuce salad, to use a nut and seed-based dressing, not a dressing made from oil and salt, but a dressing made from, let's say, an orange cashew dressing with a peeled navel orange, some cashew nuts and toasted sesame seeds, a squeeze of lemon, some blood orange vinegar, or a dressing made with a garlicky tomato sauce with almonds and hemp seeds and some black fig vinegar. We're designing fantastically tasting gourmet food made from whole foods. So a conventional diet gets its fat from animal products, animal fats, and oils. And a nutritarian diet gets its fat from nuts and seeds and avocado. So we're careful to utilize at least about 1.5 ounces of nuts and seeds as a minimum, because those foods have maximum effect at facilitating absorption of the anti-cancer phytochemicals in the other plants you're eating in that same meal. So we're absorbing nutrients better. And the relationship between nuts and seeds is a source of fat in your diet, longer lifespan, and lower rates of cancer and protection against cardiovascular death. So we're just using science. And I think in my most recent book, Eat for Life, I have more than 2,000 scientific references. So physicians, dietitians, and scientists can look at a chapter or a paragraph of statements, and they can see perhaps 30 to 50 scientific articles supporting those statements. So they can use it as a resource to pull research articles, to see the research articles that, in other words, show the contributory efficacy of nutritional excellence. So I'm saying, if you look at any one of these foods alone, like flax seeds and breast cancer, you see in studies on following women with breast cancer for 10 years, having some lignans from flax may decrease the risk of recurrence or death by 71%. But I'm saying, look, that's just one substance in flax seeds in a small amount. We're talking about combining the synergistic effects of all these beneficial foods and beneficial nutrients in your diet to make sure that people are getting full cancer protection. And I'm making the radical claim, making this radical statement that you don't have to have a heart attack or stroke, you don't have to get demented, and you don't have to have cancer. You can live without fear, and we can push the envelope of human longevity and live between 97 and 107 years old, because the advancements in nutritional science has enabled us to eat a diet that enables that to happen.
Good evening, Dr. Fuhrman. How does eating a nutritarian diet benefit our cardiovascular health?
Well, we heard other people were talking about lowering cholesterol, and eating a diet that lowers cholesterol. And obviously, there's certain foods like lignans and fibers that pull oxidized LDL into the gut for removal. But a nutritarian diet is high in antioxidants, and it's high in these phytochemicals, like the phytochemicals like ITCs, the isothiocyanates, or ITCs in green cruciferous vegetables, which we know the science in which they activate the body's ability to prevent endothelial inflammation and to accelerate the removal of plaque and to prevent the deposition of plaque. So we're saying here that heart disease is totally unnatural to the human species. It represents a way of eating that's ignorant and distorted for the human body, for that's not biologically adapted to the human system. So developing heart disease is not the normal consequence of aging. It's the consequence of eating foods that aren't well adapted to the human species. We start eating a diet where vegetables are the base of the diet. This is not a grain-based diet. It's not a bread or a potato-based diet. It's a vegetable-based diet. So it's a vegetable-based diet, and those vegetables include a variety of vegetables, including mushrooms and onions, and green vegetables that expose the body to a portfolio of nutrients that prevents intravascular inflammation, prevents oxidation of the LDL molecule, and maintains the elasticity of blood vessels so we don't get higher blood pressure as we age. And of course, it's coupled with a diet that's using natural salts found in food, like your vegetables, your beans, your nuts have the sodium in them. We're not adding salt to the food. We're just eating the sodium that's present in the natural food. And what happens over time, we're eating the sugars that are present in fruits and natural things like carrots and beets. We're not putting sugar on the food, putting honey on the food. We're just eating the sweetness from the fruit. It's not free sugar. It's sugar that's bound to fiber that's in the fruit. And we're just the same thing. We're eating the sodium that's in the food. And when we do that, it enhances our ability to taste sodium, and our taste muscle improves. We enjoy the flavor of natural foods more. And strawberries are sweeter, and avocados have more flavor, and lettuce tastes like vanilla, has more vanilla flavor to it. And foods taste better when we don't overwhelm our taste buds with these bliss points of salt and sugar that create disease. So we're talking about a diet that's SOS free. The SOS free means sugar, salt, and oil free, because oil is a major factor turning on weight storage hormones, and it's rapidly absorbed and turned into fat very quickly in the body, preventing weight loss. So when people take the oil out and instead get their fats from the moderate use of nuts and seeds, they get dramatic weight loss benefits. And I'm saying this because I'm saying something so radical for the average thinker. I'm saying here that even olive oil is a major factor in cancer development. I'm saying even olive oil is a major factor creating an epidemic of breast cancer, because we have an epidemic of obesity and overweightness. And being overweight and extra fat on the body is a major primer of cancer development, because it makes you insulin resistant, it spews out inflammatory compounds, it activates aromatase, raising body's estrogen, which stimulate the growth of breast and prostate cancer. And the pro-inflammatory substances leaving the fat supply suppress immune function, and the fat supply sequesters fat-soluble nutrients, so our other cells don't have the nutrient levels they need. So what I'm saying is that fattening foods like olive oil overall degrade a person's health. And when we we remove the oil and put nuts and seeds into a source of fat, you get tremendous biological benefits. So these little nuances make a huge deal when people want to achieve their ideal weight and achieve their ideal health. As you know, many people are struggling, and they think they're eating healthfully, but they're still carrying around 10 or 20 pounds of extra fat on the body, which means they can't be in good health, because there's no such thing as a healthy overweight person. And these markers of inflammation go up if you start to gain weight. If you start to lose weight eating healthfully, they go down even while you're still overweight. So for example, we know that around the holiday times, most people have their heart attacks. They come back from cruise ships or vacations, they have their heart attacks because they binge and put weight on quickly. So I'm saying here that when you're eating healthfully and losing weight, you're diffusing the time bomb. You're taking away the risk factors. You're preventing platelet aggregation and enhanced clotability of the platelets. You're reducing inflammation in the blood flow. You're lowering estrogen. You're lowering insulin resistance. In other words, all these factors can save your life when you're eating healthy food and losing weight. But the minute you start to go off the diet and start to gain back weight again and eat unhealthy foods, the risk is going to come back again. So we can keep people healthy, and the way we do this is changing the way they eat permanently for the rest of their life. And they do that, and they can live without fear of having a heart attack or a stroke, because it's just not a natural death for human species. It doesn't have to happen. The body is resistant or disease-proof when you put the right foods into your body.
So for people who have coronary artery disease, I know some of them are afraid to eat nuts and seeds because of they've heard it's not good for them because of the saturated fat. Can people with coronary artery disease eat a nutritarian diet without restriction, or do they have to modify it?
I have, thousands of individuals who've reversed their heart disease through a nutritarian diet. Not only should they not modify it, well, they got to modify it to their own individual caloric needs. We all need different amounts of calories. We don't want people to overeat. But a diet where people are restricting fat and taking nuts and seeds out of a diet is increasing their risk of cardiovascular death. Low-fat diets where people restrict, they're not eating walnuts and flax seeds and hemp seeds, but we know that low levels of ALA increase the risk of atrial fibrillation and increase the risk of sudden cardiac death. So the question is a little off, because here's the thing. We have, you could say 100 studies showing the addition of nuts and seeds in the diet decreases the risk of cardiovascular death. And that's in all cohorts, in the vegan cohort, in the flexitarian cohort, in the vegetarian cohort, in the meat-eating cohort. In every group of individuals, adding nuts and seeds to the diet decreases risk of sudden cardiac death and enhances lifespan from all-cause mortality. It's the exclusion of nuts and seeds that's dangerous when you have heart disease, not the inclusion. Nuts and seeds have been shown to lower cholesterol, reduce inflammation in the bloodstream, and to be more satiating and to create more weight loss than an equal amount of carbohydrate. So we're saying here that the diet is balanced because of the variety of things you're eating. We don't narrow a diet to be in a narrow window of food because we narrow the opportunity we have to push that envelope of human longevity to the natural lifespan of humans, which is around 100 years old, or between 97 and 107 years old. So we're saying to meet our natural lifespan, we take advantage of the full variety of plant foods, including mushrooms and onions and nuts and seeds. So we're saying the exclusion of nuts and seeds is dangerous, increases cardiovascular risk, irregular heartbeats, sudden cardiac death, and more problems from fatty acid deficiencies. So that's not the way to go. And that I've published studies. I wrote a recent study published in the International Journal of Disease Reversal and Prevention. And that study had over 50 references describing why you would add nuts and seeds to a diet for cardiovascular reversal. And then I published another study demonstrating with more than 450 people the dropping of blood pressure, the dropping of cholesterol, and the lowering and the reversing of heart disease occurring in the most seriously ill patients. And I also documented many of those on my television shows and in my books. And I have over 500 such documented cardiac reversal cases, 500 disease reversal cases on my website at drfurman.com. What I'm saying is even people who are in the hospital who really were told they were going to die or had severe advanced cardiac disease were able to reverse their disease, had the diabetes go away, had the heart disease go away, had their diabetic retinopathy and macular degeneration go away, had their heart rhythm go back to normal, had their ejection fraction return to normal, and recover their health. So very, very important to eat nuts and to use the judicious amount of these healthy fats when you're trying to reverse any disease. But of course, we're not eating fruit. We're not snacking on a bag of nuts between meals. We're still eating them as a sauce of flavoring. We're giving, with overweight people, approximately a half an ounce of nuts with each meal for a total of 1.5 ounces a day. Now, I eat more than that. I probably eat 2 or 3 ounces of nuts and seeds a day. But we're still monitoring the caloric levels of people. So when we have overweight people and their caloric needs are balanced to their exercise and activity levels, so we make sure they're losing weight at the right rate for them. Because as I said before, if you think you're eating healthy and you're overweight, then you're not eating the right diet for you. Because if you were eating the right diet for you, you'd be losing weight and moving towards your ideal weight. Because we're talking here about this major factor that it slows aging, and that's moderate caloric restriction in the context of micronutrient excellence. We have to mildly undershoot our caloric needs, mildly so, if we're overweight. So we slow down the metabolic rate a little bit. So the body is not, because what I'm saying right now is that we overeat calories, the body speeds up its metabolism to get those calories so it doesn't all turn into fat. So if you were 20 pounds overweight, you didn't eat 20 pounds of extra calories. You ate 50 pounds of extra calories if you're 20 pounds overweight. Because when you eat more calories than your body needs, it speeds up the metabolic rate, runs the engine in a higher furnace to try to burn some of the calories off, which then ages you faster, causes, diminishing and aging of your stem cells, your telomeres, and making this pact with the devil because you're shortening your life as you overeat calories. It's not only the fat on your body, it's also just the extra calories you're consuming, which excessively raises your metabolism. When you start to eat the right amount of calories, your metabolic rate's slowing down. That means your thyroid function is going a little bit slower, your body temperature is a little bit lower, and your respiratory, the amount of calories burned through breathing a little bit lower. You're slowing the metabolic engine and you're aging slower. And that's the secret to be living to be 100 years old, to slow down the metabolic engine biochemically, and then you can use your muscles and exercise to increase your metabolism to burn calories if you want. You're not trying to raise body temperature to burn and increase metabolism to burn calories. You're just exercising to burn calories and keeping your basal metabolism low so you're aging slower.
So
Yeah, we're almost out of time, but do you have about 5 or 10 extra minutes so we can ask you 1 or 2 more questions, Dr. Furman?
I have all the time in the world.
Beautiful. So, Yang?
okay, so I was just going to ask you if what you just said about coronary artery disease and eating a nutritarian diet without restriction held true for people who also have chronic kidney disease and type 2 diabetes, who sometimes, especially with with chronic kidney disease, are getting conflicting directions from their doctors to consume a low potassium diet and not to eat fruits and vegetables. So it can be confusing.
Sure. And don't forget, I'm not saying no restriction, because even for a person that's overweight, I am restricting nuts and seeds to a half an ounce with each meal. They're having a maximum of 1.5 ounces a day. There's no restriction, right? They're not eating 3 to 4 ounces of nuts and seeds a day. It's just too much calories for them.
I wasn't clear. I didn't mean no restrictions on the amount of nuts I meant, or the food. I meant no restrictions on what you say is a nutritarian diet for general public. That was really what I meant.
Yes.
Whether people who already know they have these conditions have to modify it due to the fact that they have these conditions.
Well, it's true that when people start having mild renal insufficiency, that a nutritarian diet can help reverse that. Many people have actually been reversing their chronic illness. I have people staying at my retreat here comes in with high creatinines, and they, leave 3 months later and their creatinines are coming back to normal. So, we've seen that many, many times. But as the kidney disease advances, it becomes more irreversible, and then it becomes potentially possible for the potassium to go too high, and you need potassium binders, and they have to restrict potassium in their diet. So there has to be modification of any diet for a person with advanced kidney failure. But the nutritarian diet is ideal for a person with early stage kidney failure, not late stage. Late stage, we have to make modifications to it to make the diet, so to watch to watch potassium, and to maybe change the diet a little bit and the way we cook the vegetables. But also doctors can prescribe calcium binding fibers in there to lower the potassium, to enable them to eat some vegetables too. So it's a combination of, we do modify the diet somewhat for certain diseases, like even with people with let's say histamine generated idiopathic urticaria, for example. We're going to make a low histamine diet for them. We might modify it somewhat to help their skin disease get better. So there are certain modifications. There are some people, for example, with rheumatoid arthritis who can't handle too many beans, so we have to cut that back in the diet. So there's some modification we make for allergies and individual diseases, but generally speaking, those are not that common.
Mm-hmm.
Should we restrict the amount of protein we consume for optimal health? And then how much daily protein is optimal?
Well, the most dramatic and interesting finding from the field of nutritional science in the last decade has been that more animal protein leads for shorter lifespan, and more plant protein leads for longer lifespan. The reason there's so many studies comparing animal protein to plant protein is because before that time, before 10 years ago, there were so many studies on animal products and eating meat that showed it didn't cause it didn't increase risk of death. And the reason it didn't cause increased risk of death because they compared people who were eating meat to people who were eating chicken, or people eating meat who were eating more pasta and bread. And they didn't compare people who were eating meat to those who were eating more beans or other whole plant foods like vegetables and nuts and beans. So intact whole grains, there are 4 foods that are protein rich on plant heavy diets, or plant strong diets, or plant predominant diets, or total plant diets. The 4 foods are intact whole grains, beans and legumes, vegetables, and nuts and seeds. They're all very high in protein. So fruit is the only natural plant food that's not high in protein. So all the other non-fruit foods are high in protein. And as we age, our ability to digest and assimilate protein goes down. So we do need more protein when we age, and we need more protein probably as a toddler or as a growing child too, or as a professional athlete. But a nutritarian diet, because it's not a fruit-based diet, we're having fruit, but we're so heavy in vegetables, beans, and we're including nuts and seeds in there that it makes the diet so protein adequate, even for the elderly or even for an athlete. What I'm saying is there are plant-based diets, especially if you're using too much oil on your food, which is diluting, you're taking in so many calories with no protein. Time you use honey and sugar and oil and white flour, you're just taking in so much empty calories that don't have protein in it. And then so your diet can be too low in protein. But the minute we start utilizing these whole foods we're talking about, we can build the protein levels that are even higher than those people eating meat. We're getting more than adequate protein by mixing together in the meal the vegetables, the beans, and the nuts and seeds, which give you a very high level of biologically adequate protein. So we're talking about building muscle here and into our later years with plant foods. And what I'm saying right now, here's what the studies show. More plant protein, longer lifespan. More animal protein, shorter lifespan. So the key here, the underlying most profound and take-home message is reduce and eliminate animal products and animal protein and increase your intake of natural plant foods that are rich in protein. And that the Women's Healthy Eating and Living study and other studies show that the inclusion of fruit, especially berries, into the diet adds additional anti-cancer and lifespan protection. So we also are eating fruit in the diet as well, including berries, which add dramatic protection against cancer and protection against dementia. So we're not excluding fruit, not excluding any food category. We're including them all in a variety, and that's where you get the best lifespan benefits from eating this variety of plant foods that we're enabled to get a hold of in modern society. Ancestors and people in even the blue zones couldn't eat the mushrooms and onions and green vegetables all year. They couldn't do as good as we can do, and we have access to organic foods too, and sprouts and microgreens. And the fact that they're available in the stores means that some people are learning this and are doing it. What's interesting is that in my 5 shows on PBS television, PBS raised over $70 million for those television shows, which one of the most highly, you can say, most donations given to PBS than most other shows, one of the top 10 of all times, which means that $70 million worth of books and videos went out to the American public, which then had a positive effect on many people and helped and promoted the sales of vegetables and sprouts and organic food and promoted the sales of plant foods and healthy plant foods in the supermarkets. And now when you go to supermarkets around the country, you see they have these foods. They wouldn't have them there if people weren't buying them. They only have, sprouts, microgreens, organic broccoli, arugula, kale, pea shoots. We see all these foods we can buy in the marketplace that weren't there 10 years ago, including many varieties of mushrooms. And luckily, farmers are making them and people are buying them. And the more people that buy them, the more they're available, because stores will stock them if we all buy them. And it supports the farmers as well, because as you guys know, when farm workers are working with pesticides, they can be hurting their health. And the farm workers exposed to pesticides have higher risks of leukemia and lymphoma from working around chemicals. So the more we support the organic food movement, we're better for the planet and also better for the people working on the farms, and better for us at the same time.
As we start to wrap this up, a question just came in from one of our viewers, and it's a very simple one, which is, why don't doctors explain this to us?
Explain which part to us?
Well, explain the fact that nutrition has such a huge impact in our health. Well,
I'm proud of being one of the original founders of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, working with like 30 doctors or 20 doctors in a room. And now there's thousands of doctors, many thousands of doctors who are certified and utilizing lifestyle medicine in their practices. So even though it's sad that it's such a small percent of the doctors, at least it's available, and it's available in New York City. And we have hundreds of thousands of doctors across the country, not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds in different cities and thousands across the country, multiple thousands of doctors that are embracing this brand of lifestyle medicine and utilizing it in their practice. And it's more accepted as a means of treating disease today. More doctors have heard of it, more cardiologists have heard of it. I speak at cardiovascular conferences. And so the answer is, even though it's slow to change, we're still moving in that direction. And I just heard recently that the head of the NIH, nutrition at the NIH, Dr. Andrew Bremer, who is is a nutritarian, is a person who knows about this and anxious to bring healthy eating to the public. And so did, of course, the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, I think, made major impacts in promoting lifestyle medicine doctors across the New York region, and the work you guys are doing. So we're having an impact, but the impact works slowly, but it's happening in our lifetime, and we need to all work together on this. We need to all be partners in this, because it's very important for our planet and our children and our grandchildren to protect the climate change, starvation, destruction of the natural world. All these things are critical to move to plant-based eating. We can't sustain all these people without destroying our planet if we're eating so much animal products too. So younger people are getting into it too, because they recognize the planet is theirs in the future, and if they destroy it, it's going to be a very poor place to live. So we got to all work together on this, and the more people we can enlist to join this movement, obviously, it's what you guys are doing, what I'm doing, and we're all working together with many other thousands of people to have this happen.
Yeah, I think you have one last question, then we'll start wrapping it up.
Yeah. Doctor, you made a very nice YouTube video several years ago on the top 5 steps to prevent heart disease. Can you share some of those steps?
I don't remember what that video was about, but I can imagine what it was about. But the first step is, of course, food. You have 3 categories of food: produce, processed foods, and animal products. And you have to live on produce. We have to live on plants. That's the most important part. The second most critical part is getting the salt out of your diet. Your diet should be SOS free, salt, sugar, and oil free. And remember, food is really addicting. And my 40 years of being in this field attests to the fact that when people do this halfway, 3/4, 80%, they very often do not succeed long term, because when they keep having these addictive substances, when they keep eating fried foods, meats, bacon, cheese, or even just sweets and white bread flour, because white bread is addicting, and it makes people. And so what I'm saying right now is it's like chronically giving alcohol to the alcoholic. It keeps people wanting to eat unhealthy. Where if they make a nice boundary and they put their work in, their months in of enforced abstinence from those addictive and unfavorable foods, they lose their desire for them. And they start to rechange their taste and like the foods that are healthy for them. So I'm saying, do this all the way. Don't do it halfway. You could, any step is in the right direction, but the baby step approach leads to less chances of long-term success. When you jump in fully with both feet, it's just magic happens. You feel better, you get radical results, and you start to actually like eating this way more. And you're not keep tempting yourself and lighting the fire under your desire in the addictive centers of the brain by keep dabbling in unhealthy food. So just don't self-destruct with anything. Just use healthy food to put in your body. And when you do that, the rewards are incredible, including more clarity of thought and more creative intelligence. So you'll be the best version of yourself when you're eating the healthiest.
And that's what we all want. Now, Thanksgiving is coming up. Are you going to make any recipes from your new book, Eat to Live, as part of it?
My newest book is Eat for Life.
Eat for Life. My apologies.
That's okay. Eat to Live was my #1 best-selling book, which the second version was written about 10 years ago. But I have 12 books, but yeah, I have The End of Diabetes, The End of Heart Disease, Superimmunity, and Eat for Life is my most recent book. And some of these recipes are absolutely, delicious. And we even have on my website, I even have people rate them and put stars next to them, how much they like them. And yeah, we can make the most greatest tasting food. And as you guys know, I have a retreat here in San Diego where people come from all over the world. Right now, I have 5 people from other countries. But in any case, the point is that they're eating great tasting foods, cooked by chefs. That's like going to a 4 or 5-star restaurant. They're eating great tasting food, watching the weight melt off them, and you could learn these recipes. And if you like to cook, you can. And if you don't like to cook, this is easy to do either. It's not hard to open a can of beans and a bag and some frozen broccoli florets, or to wok some vegetables in a wok and to throw some Thai curry sauce on top of it. This is not hard to do. You could use frozen food. You could use canned beans. You can use lettuce that's pre-washed in a box that you just open up. I mentioned this earlier because Carol was saying she spends so much time cooking and making her food. And I'm saying that's great if you love doing that, but it doesn't have to be impediment to being healthy. You don't have to be working in the kitchen all day to eat a healthy diet. And we have sauces and dressings that people can buy without salt or oil that make it easy to just make a dish, a vegetable dish or a salad taste fantastic. It's not hard to do this.
And I think all of us here agree so much. We've been doing it for a while and we've been following you, and we are so appreciative that you've taken the time out tonight to join us, to make our community that much wiser and help us as we try to just encourage people to eat a healthy, nutritarian lifestyle and a plant-based lifestyle. So Dr. Furman, our deepest thanks for being here on our show tonight. Maybe you can come back again sometime next year to talk and answer more questions from our audience.
Always love to.
Fantastic. Okay. So amazing, amazing night. And it brings us to our live giveaway. If you've made a donation to Plant Powered Metro in the past few weeks, or if you registered for any Plantathon event, you've been entered to win one of the 8 grand prizes, one per live stream from Plant Strong, which should be coming up right there. It includes a deluxe pantry bundle, kitchen rescue video library, 2 months of weekly live group coaching, and 5 years of plant stock recordings, all of which exceed $1,700 in value. Our Plant Strong winner tonight is Renee Markovchik from Aurora, Colorado. Congratulations, Renee. Our team will contact you in the next few days to claim your prize. So you still have time to win more prizes. All you need to do is donate to our Plant-a-thon campaign or register for a Plant-a-thon event with or without donation. And as always, we just want to thank all of our sponsors, La Botaniste, Dr. Herbivore, California Balsamic, Plant Strong, Vitamix, Forks and Knives, Burlap and Barrel. You'll be entered to win one of our upcoming bundles, these and other things, and an enrollment for 2 people in our 21-day Plant Power Jumpstart that begins in January 24. Winners being chosen in 4 rounds throughout the Plantathon series, with the final round announced at our culmination event in the Garmin District, featuring plant-based podcaster Chuck Carroll. Yes, indeed, the same Chuck Carroll who is the host of the PCRM weekly podcast. So we are so excited to be able to have him with us. So please do. We'll get the link to the registration page coming up in a second in the comments. We want to make sure that you have the opportunity to win this. The link should be shown right now. Every day, Plant Powered Metro is demonstrating the power of plant-based nutrition and community health through cooking classes, presentations, market tours, jumpstart programs, and so many other forums that offer hope, practical advice, and skill building to our diverse residents. Since all donations are matched up to $100,000. That's right, $100,000. So please, please, right now, don't hold back. We need everyone to pitch in. Gifts of all sizes are welcome. Donate online or by text. You can do so as you see the slide on the screen, or click into the campaign in the comments to make your gift now. And again, just another thanks to all of our sponsors. It is so, so wonderful that La Botaniste, Dr. Herbivore, California Balsamic have been here. Now, we have another show coming up tomorrow night, and this is the first of our Spanish series. It'll be featuring Drs. Marcela Sandoval and Francisca Soto Aguiar, discussing how they are using plant-based nutrition to heal their patients in Latin America. We'll then be back on Sunday. I'll be back with you on Sunday for another English program featuring Love Life telehealth doctors, and that includes Dr. Kim Scheuer and Colin Zhu. So we are really, really happy to be able to bring them back. That's going to be Sunday night at 7 o'clock, and Dr. Soto and Aguilar will be here tomorrow night. That's Friday night at 7 o'clock. Really, really important stuff. And on Sunday, the demo that Dr. Zhu is going to do and the talk is going to be on vascular health. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get reminders when we go live each evening at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. On behalf of Judy and Ben, and of course, Dr. Ferman, we wish you optimal health. My name is Jim Spellos, and we look forward to seeing you again on the Plantathon and next year as well on Heart to Healthy Heart. So again, from all of us, thank you so much for being here, and good night.